AI-powered digital business world and explore innovative teaching methods that incorporate AI. Our panelists from the first section. I'm extremely happy to present you Jennifer Lehr, professor at the Nazareth University in Rochester, United States of America, co-editor of the Journal of Management Education. For Ukrainian participants and from all the other participants, I must say that it is Scopus indexed from the first quartile. Jennifer is accepting only the perfect publications. So our second participant is Michela Flores, is a professor at the University of Cagliari, Italy. She is a coordinator of the master's degree in international management. Another our representative from the same University of Cagliari, Professor Silvia Macchia, and Tomasz Kinkel, professor and vice dean for research and doctoral studies at the Prague University of Economics and Business from Czech Republic. So these were our participants from the first section. The second section will evaluate behavioral partners and cultural intelligence in global virtual teams, discussing strategies to promote collaboration in digital environments. And among our panelists is the legendary person who invented X-Culture project, Vastaras, professor and department chair at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, vice president administration of the Academy of International Business, and our great friend, Professor Ernesto Tavoletti from the University of Macerata in Italy, coordinator of the master's degree in international relations. This year, we will have the 10th anniversary of the graduation of this double degree. Our third section, we will delve into legal considerations for maintaining a positive online presence in the AI-driven landscape, exploring frameworks to address AI misuse and strategies for legal compliance. Our panelists are all graduates from the well-known Naples University Federico II, and so they all represent the legal sphere. So we will have among us Professor Luigi Di Santo. Unfortunately, I don't see him now, but he will join us later. He is the professor at the University of Cassino in Southern Lazio, coordinator of the bachelor's degree in legal services and editors of the journal Democrazia e Diritti Sociali. And we have Michele Di Soma and Pierina Di Stefano, our advocates, Ukrainian lawyers and co-founders of Tron and Avvocato del Web. Piera will tell you what does it mean. So basically we have people who were, I suppose, the first in Italy, maybe one of the first in Europe, to introduce this idea of web reputation and protection of web reputation from the legal point of view. And our final session will explore the profound impact of AI on business interactions and practices, unveiling both benefits and risks. Among our panelists, we have representatives from three different businesses. We will meet Filippo Rossi, CEO of Joycom from Italy, an IT security company. We have with us Irina Andriushenko, co-founder and CMO of HandyEye, a Canadian-Ukrainian platform for AI business app creation. And last but not least, we have Carlo Adami, a financial expert, currently working as financial attaché for the Italian diplomatic mission in India. I look forward on an engaging and informative session. Thank you all for being here, and let us begin our journey into the AI-powered digital world. Let's move, colleagues, to our first session. that session is titled Business and Educational Practices in the AI-Powered Digital Era. I would like to remind you again our panelists whom I presented. We have Jennifer Ley, Michela Flores, Silvia Macchia, and Tomasz Kinkel, who represent the universities from the United States, Italy, and the Czech Republic. So let's start our discussion. And I would like to address my first question to all of our panelists. According to you, looking at the business, how is AI transforming business technologies? And what are the most significant changes you have seen in your country? Later, we will move on how we should teach business having these AI challenges. Dear colleagues, who would like to start? Maybe Jennifer?
Thank you. I discussed this question with my husband, who's a small business owner, and reflected on it. In our day-to-day lives, I don't see a lot of upfront use of AI in businesses. There's a lot of talk in the media, but I think a lot of the utilization is behind the scenes at this point. So he, as a small business owner, really hasn't found ways to leverage the technology besides it being a research tool. So he's in the medical field and he sort of uses it as a prompt to look at the literature. As a consumer, the only place that I've seen it recently is in medical interactions. We have the option to upscale charges to use AI to look at our medical scans, which I think is a little ironic because it seems like a lot of the argument is AI is supposed to remove jobs and automate work, and it's being used as an add-on in the medical field. So those are the two examples that I wanted to share. So I feel like in our day-to-day life, I'm not seeing it that much as a direct consumer outside of the medical field. And so I'm curious and I'm watching, and I'm looking forward to speaking to alumni this fall, because I think they'll maybe have a better understanding, being in the field, like what they're seeing in their particular companies. I pass things over to my colleagues.
You have finished. Okay. It is very interesting what you are saying, because when we are thinking of the United States, we are thinking that United States should use it. And so what we are talking and what we are hearing, it's extremely interesting. So let's move to Europe. What is going on in Italy? Michela, Silvia?
Maybe I take the speech. May I?
For sure. You are free to do everything. You are the esteemed panelist today.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much, Natalia, for this invitation. It's a pleasure for us for being here and discuss with the colleagues and share these reflections of such an intriguing topic. It's a very fascinating topic. And first of all, let me say one thing, that I agree with Jennifer when she said that it's like nothing is going on apparently, but there's probably something underneath the surface that we do not, are able to see immediately. But if we think also to our lives, we are surrounded by artificial intelligence. When we ask to Alexa what will be the weather tomorrow, or we ask for suggestions maybe for a gift to our husband or a friend to a computer, or we open a chat box to have some information about the maintenance process of instrument that we are using artificial intelligence. And this is what is going on in our companies. Probably we are living a world that is much more complex than the than the one that we are seeing at the first sight. In terms of the use of artificial intelligence, I can, use my experience as a researcher. For example, we are trying to implement artificial intelligence for providing health services to prisoners. So we are using artificial intelligence, telemedicine. It's just an experimental project that has been launched a few days ago. We are trying to experimentate metaverse in which prisoners can be helped by doctors without making them physically in touch, because prisoners are special patients. So sometimes their health rights are not preserved, are not able, Italy is not completely able to take care of these patients because sometimes doctors do not want to visit them in the prisons. The cost for visiting them are very high, and therefore probably the metaverse could be, a way, a tool to help them receive these services and reducing the cost for the public administration, so freeing up resources that can be dedicated to other kind of services. So I think there is a lot that is going on also in the tourism sector. Let's think about the avatar that can illustrate maybe a touristic path journey for the hotel without investing in personnel, and therefore by using their physical personnel to dedicate them to other kind of services. Lots of is going on, but we are not still able to see what's going on. Or maybe technology is so involved in our life that we do not realize that something is really changing, But we are in a process of modernization. It's a tough process because, as you told us, sometimes we are scared about this process because everyone is telling us that probably in the next future, the human being will be just substituted by artificial intelligence. So this is a scary scenario for us, but we need to, think about the positive aspect of these tools, especially in our position that is the position of, educators. So we need to educate our students to exploit the best from these instruments and not just being overwhelmed by the instrument itself. That is.
Thank you, Silvia. Silvia, you have raised a very interesting issue. You have said that maybe there is artificial intelligence already used, but maybe we are not supposed to understand that we are already using AI. We will then address that question to Irina, that is the most experienced person in AI, the best expert in this field. We will then return back to you, Ira, and ask you that question. Be ready.
Yeah.
Michela, you had something to add?
Yes. First of all,
Thank
you, Natalia, for your invitation. And yes, just I'd like to add to Silvia's speech that here in Sardinia, for example, AI is starting to be used also in the food industry. To help automation, to change routine tasks and to substitute humans for routine activities. This for us as a region, as an ISOL, is a very opportunity, a very interesting opportunity to approach to internationalization, because Sardinia is known, but is known all over the world. But our production are not so so known because we face difficulties in internationalize our production. So AI can help our firms to produce in a more simple way, and improve efforts in other strategies to improve our activities. Also in tourism sector, for example, as already told by Silvia, and in the culture, industry culture, for example, we are experiencing the use of metaverse. That is a very interesting aspect that are obtaining very interesting and very good results. But we can say that in Sardinia, the use of AI is recent and is a start in the starting point. So I'm sure that I strongly believe that as professor of management, of strategy, of organization, have to help our students in understanding the very opportunity that is artificial intelligence, that in my opinion is not something that can replace human activity, but is an instrument, a tools for human activity. For example, this morning when I was going to my university, I heard on the radio that in England, I'm sure, I don't know, but probably in England, are experimenting that an artificial dean in schools. Okay, so artificial dean probably is a very good opportunity if we consider a dean as a coordinator for timetables and other activities. But it's impossible to change the human dean with artificial dean when is important the relationship with the dean, professor, teachers, and students. So I think that artificial intelligence cannot replace human activity in all.
Okay, thank you, Michela. And you prepared properly the floor to Tomasz Kinkel. What do you think, Tomasz? Are you ready to be replaced? Tomasz is Vice Dean. So are you ready to be replaced by artificial Vice Dean or not? And according to you, what do you observe in Czech Republic?
I am definitely prepared to retire and to give my position to AI or whatever technology. Well, let's back to serious talk. Actually, Natalia, I was thinking about this exact question when I was walking in my office today. And to be honest, as I live in quite a small town in South Bohemian countryside, you don't really see many like direct observations or direct interactions with technology or AI on the streets. However, this does not necessarily mean that we don't see the results of those interactions. And I just wonder, is it a sign that this technology is at its dawn, like at very beginning, when it's like evolving? So we don't see many interactions and observations, or is it so advanced that it actually disappeared? Because usually the sign of really advanced technology is that it disappears and the interaction is truly like organic or natural. I'm a bit afraid that it's happening already, that AI is behind a lot of stuff we interact on our daily basis in our daily routines. I'm also afraid that the pace of changes is very different in various industries. And well, on the other hand, we cannot ban it, so we have to support it. And this just reminds me that IBM study that was published a couple of months ago that says that about 80% of all jobs will be somehow affected by the rise of AI in the coming years. So we will see.
Affected or replaced?
Affected.
Affected.
Even though they say that even manual workers should be somehow afraid, because it's
Workers.
just, yeah, even like manual workers should be afraid of not being replaced, but being somehow affected by the rise of AI in the current world. However, if I may like raise another question, what AI really is? What does it mean, AI?
What do you think? Tell us.
I wish I knew.
It's a good question. Anyway, we've got lots of questions about how much AI we observe in the real world. I really would like to ask Irina, who is a representative of the AI business. Ira, tell us the truth. How much AI do we really have in the real world?
Hi, thank you for inviting me here. And so I think that even today, everyone was affected by AI. We can say so because maybe everyone have looked through some news, and we understand that a lot of posts are written by ChatGPT now. And we understand that, yeah, we see a lot of letters, and we even can understand that something is ChatGPT-like when you read someone's emails or someone, LinkedIn post. So I think that generative AI, ChatGPT, Gemini from Google, Meta AI, they are already in our lives. And so we can understand that a lot of translations, for example, are made by AI just now. So for now, we understand that support teams could be all over the world. They can speak no English, no Spanish, no Italian, but they can support, for example, Italian people due to GenAI, because everything will be translated in real time. And now they even in new version of ChatGPT, they are doing it immediately, so you will not recognize any delays, and they will add even emotions. So, for example, if you use AI to communicate with for example, imagine you are a hotel and you use AI to communicate with our guests. It can cry when the guest will do their checkout, for example. So you can really make this human-like experience, and sometimes you will not notice that it is really AI. But
sorry to interrupt you, what you are talking about, you're talking about mostly like the communication sphere of AI usage, because we talk about ChatGPT, we talk about text creation or translations or some communicational spheres like in the hospitality sector.
Yeah, so
is this because it is like the more natural for AI to be used in this sphere, or do you see any other spheres more affected, let's say, or more involved in the AI realm?
Yeah, I think that generative AI, like ChatGPT and Gemini, it's generative AI. So it's AI using to understand the context and generate an answer. That's why generative. So these AIs, it is something that is already in our lives, and we can see it or not, but we are surrounded by this AI written text or questions. So that's what I'm saying, that this AI is already in the life and we can see it. Yeah. If you are using Shopify, for example, you can observe this AI, which are proposing you new tracks now. Yeah. So AI is not only in Alexa and already in our life in text, but yeah, there are so many different types of AI. For example, when we use AI in workflows, in our product. It's not generative AI, it's different type, and it's really going deeper, for example, in the business processes or in particular fields like medicine, as you mentioned. Yeah. So, for example, in your you were talking about this doctor. So to help prisoners with this AI, you need to use different types of AI. You need to understand them, and you will use like generative AI, and you should generate an answer, and also you should match them with particular specialist, and it is different. Yeah, it is different LLM and different models that will fulfill this job. And also to organize all this environment, you will use different AIs. So I mean, in our lives and in our businesses and in education, there are so many different types of AI, and now we have like tons of startups in North America, for example, and in Europe, leveraging different types of it. That's why, yeah, I'm thinking it's our reality, so it's not like some future. Generative AI is already in our day-to-day life, but all other types of AI, I think they will continue to be in all the spheres, and it is a very quick process. And what I would like to add about the, for example, small businesses, what we hear from our discussions with small independent hotel owners or some service companies, they say, I would love to use AI to hire AI and to fire some coordinators or some, they do not want to fire field workers who are like doing something real, but sometimes they want to like fire some coordinators, some communicators, or they want to scale without hiring people. So what we can hear, they are frightened about AI, that AI can do something wrong. At the same time, they are ready to use it to like fill their gaps.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know, I remember this recent article, I suppose was posting it. I don't know if he's here to intervene. Maybe Ernesto remember the article about the AI usage in the medical sphere. Ernesto, do you remember this article when there were cases shown to doctors who were supposed not to use any instruments, any digital instruments? Then there were doctors who used generative AI, and then it was an AI without doctors. And the result, do you remember that article? This is a recent article.
I don't know, Natalia, if you're speaking about the experiment that we did in X-Culture.
No. It is another story. It wasn't really an article. Then we will ask about the reference. But if I'm not mistaken, the diagnosis put by AI, so AI made less mistakes than even doctors using AI.
Yes, well, I remember a paper that has been presented at the Academy of Management in Boston last August. There was a session about the use of artificial intelligence by medical doctors. And yes, there was actually the issue that AI was actually better than human being in detecting tumors in your colon. And so actually, in the end, the diagnosis was very much AI driven, because otherwise, if the human being was going to intervene and saying, you know, there is no reason to have a surgery now, because it is, I don't know, very small, or it is at the very beginning, there might be an issue of responsibility later on. So in the end, the introduction of AI for supporting a medical doctor ended up in having all the process driven by AI in order to avoid the responsibility of the medical doctor in case there was not an intervention. This is a paper that I remember that was presented. I was in that session. I didn't see it on the post by us, but I remember being in that session.
Thank
So I
you.
don't
Thank
know if
you.
this was, yeah.
Thank you, Ernesto. Tomasz wanted to add something, please.
If I may echo on these remarks,
Uh-huh.
there is no doubt that AI can really extend our human bodies, extend our capabilities, let's say, but also it increases our dependence on technology. And my question also would be, who is accountable? You know, who is responsible for the results? And not only in healthcare, where, for example, wrong diagnosis may have significant impact on the patient, but also in education. So who is responsible? Who are those men of code who develop those solutions, and what is their agenda?
Thank you, Tomasz. You know, I already really like the panel because we are moving to the educational sphere. So, and Professor Kinkel just made the perfect bridge to the educational sphere. So as soon as we are in this AI-driven world, and especially about generative AI, so I would like to open another sphere of this discussion. Let's move to the education. What should educational institutions do? How should they adapt their curricula to prepare students for the AI-powered, this digital business world? And what is already done? Could you maybe provide some examples of innovative teaching methods that you incorporate in your universities? Jennifer.
I'm just learning so much in this discussion with everyone. And I think this is the stance that educational institutions need to take, is that we're going to be learning with our students. And this is a pretty big identity shift for us as academics, because our identities are built upon providing knowledge to students, and AI is completely disruptive of that. And so one of the first things institutions need to do is help their faculty reconnect to their own teaching and learning philosophy. And this is really this is a question of values and norms. Are we here to pour knowledge into people? Well, that's not needed anymore. Are we here to help them develop higher level competencies? This is the fundamental discussion that we need to be having. I think, you know, next, particularly what we've heard from Irina, is that we need to really upskill very quickly our knowledge about the various types of AI, because this will be fundamental for us in constructing the right kind of learning objectives. And so as we understand, you know, they need to have a knowledge of the AI, and that includes us having this basic knowledge. And so we can do this by having our teaching and learning centers or our faculty developers follow and curate the information from the thought leaders in the field. The group Sentient Syllabus is a great example. Lance Eaton in the United States is a really sharp thinker in this area. And so pulling together the resources, because it's very overwhelming for faculty who are teaching so much to try and do their skill development at the same time. And of course, speaking to alumni, I've had the fortune to be out of the classroom all year on sabbatical, so I haven't been face to face, but I'm just incredibly looking forward to having the young alum near peer guest speakers to help us educate and learn with our recent students. So those are, you know, a few thoughts that I have, but I think our first step is really one of contemplation and important dialogue together as faculty. What are we here to do, and how does AI help us do that better? There's many examples of great implementations that we're seeing at the basic knowledge level, like bots, where students can do you know, be coached by the AI through very high level creative activities where students are creating AI tools to help address and integrate course content. That's at the upper level, depending upon what the learning objective is. And so I'll turn things over to my colleagues so we can hear more from them. But it's a very exciting time to think about teaching and learning, but it is a very disruptive time. And so I'll turn things over to others to share their thoughts.
Thank you, Jennifer. I remember my first time I encouraged students to use AI during my classes. And I remember they were extremely shocked, like how for them it would have been something forbidden to be used. And so when I said, okay, let's ask ChatGPT, and so we received some results and we started to discuss the results. And the results of the classes were extremely good. I suppose that yesterday Vas has posted on Facebook this post of all the lists of Vas. Could you tell us?
Jennifer actually found that, so she sent me a bunch of other resources, and these two particular from that huge collection struck me so much. I thought I would share it with everyone. So Jennifer may know more, but yes. So apparently some people keep track of different AI use policies by different universities, and there are like over 100 there. And then another guy keeps track of AI statements or AI use statements in different syllabi. And again, like 200 professors submitted their syllabi. So Jennifer, you may know more. So she discovered that resource. I only, as I said, reposted it. But yeah, so interesting collections there.
So basically, we are talking about researchers who are now collecting different approaches from different universities. And I remember the first shock after appearing the generative AI like ChatGPT. And I remember my first, I was amused by the fact that inside of the X-Culture project that we will discuss a little bit later, that the percentage of the plagiarism dropped dramatically. So I remember them for years. I observed around 10, even 20, even 30% of the plagiarism. And after the appearance of ChatGPT, we started to observe like no more than 3%. And so that means that we entered the really new era, a new educational era, because we should find possibilities to teach and then to be protected from using AI, from like inethical usage of AI by our students.
Natalia,
okay.
If I may add here, so we'll talk about all that plagiarism stuff. But so one quick note on those AI use statements. So I actually read them. I'm trying to write a paper on, AI in general. So we're working on a couple of studies with Jennifer, with Ernesto, some other people. And so I looked at what the policies are from these universities and professors. And so there are sort of two interesting types there. So one is extremely vague. So some people just basically say, well, AI, be ethical, nothing specific. So you can tell that the story is evolving and the schools are not quite sure how to regulate it. But then also there is the second distinct type where professors and universities are trying to fully ban it. So they basically say you are not allowed to use it, will require a statement that you didn't use it. And so what bothers me here is that it's nearly impossible to draw the line between when it's ethical and when it becomes unethical. So in a way, we all have used AI for years. Like when you type, for example, something in Microsoft Word, you have the spell checker, right? So it corrects your spelling errors. So is that already cheating? Is that unethical? Many of us use Grammarly. I use Grammarly, everybody, or many people use Grammarly. Well, a few months now ago, there was a big scandal. One of the major US universities basically dropped a student, so banned a student for using Grammarly. So they decided that that was unethical. And so the guy was literally excluded, what is it, not canceled, banished from the university because apparently it was considered plagiarism. Now, also likewise, we all, for example, as professors, use our research assistants to maybe find some papers or do some research and review for us. Is that unethical? Well, definitely it is ethical. That's why we have research assistants. So why, if I ask ChatGPT to find some relevant data or give me a summary of literature, why some see that as unethical? Likewise, many universities not only allow or encourage, they even give professors money to hire professional human copy editors who will test or check your work, your writing before you submit your paper to a journal. So that's normal practice. And so they want you to publish and they want your language to be a sort of error-free. And they literally give you money. So you hire a person who will copy edit your work. Well, why is that all of a sudden a problem when a student or a professor submits its work or his work, her work to ChatGPT and says, check my grammar, punctuation? Is that a problem? I don't know. Tutors, again, we all are encouraged and often have money to hire tutors who will teach us how to do things. Again, if I ask ChatGPT to teach me, is that a problem? So the question becomes, at which point the use of AI becomes unethical? And I don't know. I mean, different people, reasonable people may have different opinions. We've had a lot of discussions about that among the X-Culture professors, and you would see the wide range, as I said, from people who say, ban, not allowed to use, let's use tools that catch use of AI, all the way to professors who say not only allow, but make it mandatory. Ask students to use AI, teach them how to use it, and ask them to provide output by AI and then their own output. So where is that balance? Where is that, sort of golden median? So that's the question.
Thank you, Vas, for intervention. That's really a good question. Because, for example, as soon as we are, except Jennifer, we are not native English speakers, so that means that we do make mistakes. We will always make mistakes in English. I'm making terrible mistakes in Italian. And if not to use some programs like Grammarly that is simple, or ask the same GPT to correct the language, we will just remain on the level of, I don't know who is on duty today. I mean, on the level that we have, and we will still make mistakes. And I don't know, it's a really good question. Do Italy does Italy find the answer on this question? Silvia, Michela?
Just a reflection I was making a few days ago. I think that most of the bad side effect of new technologies comes out from the nature of the time we are living. I mean, in terms of pressure, all of us is pressed to achieve result in a very short period of time. In a period of time that most of the time is not compatible with the way in which our brain works, our life works. So we asked the same thing to students. Okay, when I studied at the university, I had an entire year to prepare for the module I was studying. Now I teach the same amount of concept in 3 months. And I expect that my students at the end of these 3 months will be prepared as much as I was prepared 20 years ago, or maybe better because they can use technology. So we are putting them in a position to, use the technology in a way in which the technology can easy up their learning process. But this is not a way to easy up their learning process. This is just a makeup, because learning processes must be developed according to the flow of time. We need to be relaxed. We need time to develop our competencies, to, invest in a critical thinking, to build up a critical thinking. So I know that it's quite a paradox, but if we go on with this fast rate of leaving everything and performing in every sector, of course, the bad side effect of technologies will emerge. We will be forced to use ChatGPT for doing what we cannot do with our strengths. This is what I was thinking. That's it.
Thank you, Silvia. Michela?
I agree. Yes, I agree with Silvia, and at the same time with Jennifer when she told that we are teachers and learners at the same time in this disruptive period. In fact, when I think that on one side, artificial intelligence can help us and our students in catching opportunities, at the same time, the dark side can emerge. In fact, for example, for us as scholars, as researchers, the motto "publish or perish" is our very big problem. So, artificial intelligence, in this sense, can help us in publishing in a smaller time, but probably. I believe that the problem is not the use of artificial intelligence, but how we use this very powerful tool. So probably when, as Vaz told, checking language errors, mistake, or improving English, or translation, translation, or other aspect are very powerful effect of artificial intelligence. The problem is stay on the main interpretation, but probably is not the right word, but the main interpretation of artificial intelligence. In fact, in my during one of my marketing lesson, I involved my students in using ChatGPT for a specific task, and they did not be very happy because they understood that artificial intelligence tends to homogenize the thinking. So I agree with Silvia when she told that the real ability is using artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, but avoiding the losing of critical thinking. So we have to shift. We have to learn in this period how can we use these very powerful tools, avoiding plagiarism, avoid other ethical aspects.
Thank you, Michela. Ira, you wanted to add something, please?
Yes, sorry.
I see Tomasz. I see you. Don't worry.
So I would like to add some thoughts, because our clients, for example, they use AI for trainings. It's not a university type of education, but what we really see that AI cannot replace educational approach. It cannot replace what is teaching, but it can replace coordination. So any task to they remind the students to do, the students or workers to prepare, to submit. They tell, oh, there are 3 days to meet the deadlines, and these jobs are good to delegate to AI in educational process, because they help to utilize all these things, but it really cannot replace educational approach or professors. So I think these words of Kasparov, the world chess champion, he was saying AI will not play against the grandmaster. So one grandmaster with AI will play against another Grandmaster with AI. I think that every professor will utilize AI, but it will not play against them.
If I'm not mistaken, that was the match when AI won. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it was it was a reflection about this. He was asking, so does it mean that no way to play chess anymore? So just AI will be the winner? He said, no, AI will play with one Grandmaster against another Grandmaster with AI, because AI is not replacing this. It's like help someone. So I mean, when we delegate routine jobs, coordination jobs to AI, so it will help to educate, but it will play some specific role, not like creating new educational approach.
Okay, thank you, Irina. We see that let's say AI programs, AI platforms are positive, looking at the educational sphere, and it is good. Tomasz, what is going on in Czech Republic? What is the position of your university as soon as you is responsible for scientific research and for all this part connected to works, students' works, research, PhD, and so on?
I remember our discussions like a year ago, and the first reaction obviously was, let's ban it. But then we realized that you cannot ban it, so we have to embrace it. And on the other hand, this transition is not happening in like standalone situation. There is a context. And I would say that if elementary schools and high schools will not take their part, there is not much we as a universities can do, because this transition will require some sort of like lifelong learning. Another point is that I also feel that with this transition, our requirements or expectations on students also like skyrocketed. And it is also true that using technologies or AI, being more specific, allows for more inclusive or supportive or personalized learning experience, allowing for specific approaches reflecting students' needs. On the other hand, I also feel that it amplifies the differences between the good ones and, let's say, the less gifted or let's say less committed, if you want. Because the good ones, with help of AI or technologies in general, can become even better or even exceptional. On the other hand, the bad ones or less gifted ones very often remain on the same level, because they don't know how to use the technology, how to utilize, how to exploit the technology that is available. So I am a bit afraid that this technology does not necessarily decrease the differences between students, and it actually has potential to tear the society apart, which I'm some sort of afraid of.
Maybe it's a question of time. Just when ChatGPT appeared, it's like 1 year, two years ago, I suppose. So it just needs time. So for now, we are still discussing the possibilities, maybe hypothetical possibilities to ban something, even though we are living in the world that it is impossible to ban using some. I mean, if you don't use generative AI just by making copy pasting, but if you see it, I mean, and don't put the phrases like provide valuable insights. This is my favorite phrase generated by GPT. I suppose our colleagues recognize this phrase, and maybe especially Jennifer from articles who appear to be in the journal. I mean, if you use it ethically, if you use it understanding why you are doing it, for what reason, what is the level of using generative AI and AI in general, and remembering that the responsibility is still yours. I suppose that from this, for now at least, we may move forward and we may look what will happen in the future. Dear colleagues, we are extremely perfectly on time, finalizing our section 1 and moving to the section 2 that is dedicated to global virtual teams. I would like to remind you this section and our participants. We will talk about cultural intelligence in global virtual teams and promoting collaboration in the digital world. I am happy again to welcome our participants, Vastaras and Ernesto Tavoletti. And I would like to ask the first and very simple question, X-Culture. Vas is the person who invented X-Culture. What is it? How it works? Why it is so important now in this period of time? And then we will move to the insights of using AI in global virtual teams and some results of the research that Ernesto and Vas were working together. So Vas, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Natalia. So Ernesto will talk more about some of the research we do. But briefly, we have been around for almost 15 years now. And so the original idea for X-Culture was to provide students in international business courses with an opportunity to experience in real life what the professors are trying to explain to them through lectures. So basically some form of like a lab or a practical component of an international business course. So when you are in front of your classroom and you're telling your students in your IB course that doing business with, for example, Italians is different than doing business with Ukrainians. The students will hear you, will understand you, but will not fully comprehend what it means. As I always say, teaching international business in a classroom, it's like teaching how to swim on a football field. You know, you need to get into the water to learn how to swim, and you have to have this real international experience to learn international business. And so the idea originally was that we would find professors in different countries who teach international business, and then put our students in international global virtual teams. And so give them something to work on. And so as they will work on this joint international project, they will deal with cultural differences, time zone differences, institutional differences. And so this way we'll gain firsthand experience in challenges and best practices of working with people from different countries. And then all kinds of interesting things happened as the project was evolving. So first, more people joined than we thought. So now, for example, so the first time we did it, it was 7 professors from seven different countries. Now we would normally have about 150 professors from about 60, 70 countries. And so when we say international teams, we mean literally like 6 people per team, each one from a different location, different continent. So these are really global teams, and then obviously international as a result of that. So another big change or difference that happened was research. So when we started the project, we thought it would be only for education purposes. But then we started collecting some data for like grading purposes. So we needed to know who's doing well, who's not, who gets what kind of grade for the project, but also are all teams doing well or not? Do they have any conflicts? So we as professors needed to know. But then we thought, hey, we have all those data, why not use them for research? And then obviously for the administrative needs, but also for publication needs, we needed to know why some teams do better than others, why some people are more likely to be team leaders than others, why some people have more conflicts. So we started doing all kinds of experiments in data collection. Is it culture? Is it cultural intelligence? Is it emotional intelligence? Is it age, experience? You name it. So we needed to know to manage the project better, but also these are questions that, the answers to which would be presented as scholarly work and published as journal papers. And so we have published, I don't know, over 50 papers based on this project's data, as well as probably a dozen dissertations defended and many more in development. At some point, the project also became a consulting project. So the first few years we did it just for education, but then real companies started coming to us with real problems. Mercedes-Benz was the first client, but then other small and big companies came for help. We have people all around the planet, people who are graduating tomorrow, so to speak, and will become expensive professionals, MBA students, EMBA undergraduates. Today, they would like to do it essentially for free to you as a client, and you have this kind of global expertise locally. And so all of a sudden, again, we found ourselves in a situation where we have paying customers on one hand, on the one side, and then a crowd of semi-professionals on the other side. And so we need to do a lot of research to figure out how to organize this crowd in a way that they give the best possible solutions to the client's problems. And so, and then, yes, AI happened. And so we've had ample, extensive discussions with professors. What do we do with that? As I said, in a way, we all use AI, spell checkers, Grammarly. Now it's a whole different level of AI. And so some professors demand that we ban it and that we use all kinds of tools to check students' work for not only plagiarism, but also the use of AI. We tested over 20 of those, and they don't work. So it's not reliable. And so we're now trying to develop policies where it would be both ethical, but also developmental. The truth is that AI is here to stay. You cannot ban it, like you cannot ban calculators or you cannot ban spell checkers. So what do we do with that? And so I'll pass the microphone to Professor Tavoletti. He will talk about some of our research efforts in this area. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about the challenges we've experienced, but also the solutions or the opportunities that we see, because again, I don't really see it as a bad development. I think it's probably the greatest thing that has happened to us in academia in over a century. So I'm the optimist here, but some people are sort of, we have prophets and we have wizards. Prophets prophesize, the doomsday, the end of the world. Academia, wizards believe that no, that's a solution. So, but we'll talk about that after Ernesto's overview of our research. Ernesto, to you.
Thank you, Vas.
Thank you, Vas. And I was very much impressed by the opening remark by Jennifer when she said that actually there is a lot of talking about AI, but especially in business, not so much action or building of AI. And I think this is actually coming also from the fact that we are all using AI, we are all using those machines, but actually they are sort of very centralized. So the main difference that we have with, for example, we have billions of human brains, but on the opposite, we have just a few AI plays. So we can have a Tesla car that is just a machine, but it is connected to a sort of big brain. And so it is actually indeed very centralized, and we are sort of consuming AI. But actually in education, there is some action going on. For example, in mixed culture and global virtual teams, we did this exercise of applying AI into the mixed culture studies that we are actually conducting. And if you see my slides here, there is actually one example of one of those studies that we are actually conducting. So it was actually about the giving feedback to students and giving human feedbacks or giving feedbacks that are actually produced by AI. I don't want to be, so this is a study with also Bob and Long Zhu, that are some colleagues that are working with us. It was supposed to be a submission for a special issue of the Academy of Management, Learning and Education, but for some reason we missed the deadline, so we are still working on this paper. I don't want to be too long on the first part of this paper that we are writing. So the idea is that paradoxical theory might actually be a good approach for AI in management education. And there have been other applications of the paradoxical theory in other fields, not in management education, for example, in sport. I don't want to go into the details of that, it would be actually long, but actually when we have to judge some people performing artistic gymnastics, for example, that is very complex to evaluate, there are people that have been using artificial intelligence, and this is actually providing some benefits because, for example, artificial intelligence does not get tired, does not make measuring mistakes. It is very careful, it is very precise, but nonetheless, this is actually generating a lot of tensions in those evaluations because some people say it is difficult to identify artistry, so not just the mechanical precision of what is done. So this is actually one issue. But actually, there are also some very clear benefits of using artificial intelligence. So actually, we thought to do something similar inside Xculture. We say it is actually a paradox, and in saying it is a paradox, we mean that there are a lot of tension in the use of artificial intelligence. For example, here we say we are very open about using artificial intelligence, but then I am pretty certain that if I am submitting a manuscript to the journal of Jennifer, there will be a declaration that I have to say that I have not been using artificial intelligence and that sort of stuff. But actually, when we use Grammarly, Grammarly is not checking just spelling, as Vas was saying, but now it incorporates artificial intelligence. So it is writing sentences with different tones, with different styles. So even using something as basic as Grammarly, it is actually a use of artificial intelligence. So the point is that it is not something that is a dilemma, yes or no, with artificial intelligence. And it is not even a dialectic process where we can reach a sort of synthesis that then can actually evolve. But it is actually a tension that is going there, that is going to stay. So it is like the one between exploitation and exploration in research. It is something that is going to stay with us. But this was actually the theoretical frame. What we have been testing is actually if students that receive human feedback in respect to artificial intelligence feedback are more or less satisfied, and if they perform better or as the students that receive feedback from artificial intelligence. So the first dependent variable was actually the satisfaction of students. You see the two hypotheses. In one of them, students are not told that actually the feedback was coming from the AI, and in the other case, on the opposite, they were actually told. And the other dependent variable was actually performance of student. So again, we are comparing the human feedback with the AI one, and then again making the distinction between telling the student or not telling the students. So I can be very quick about the methods. So we have been doing so inside the Xculture exercise that Vas has already been introducing. I think all of you should actually should probably know what it is. So students are submitting a business report and the AI is providing a feedback on this business report. In particular, with this investigation that we did, we have been using 197 teams. It includes both bachelor students, the majority of them, 73%, but also master students. As you can see, we have 67 countries, so it is actually a pretty global exercise that we have been conducted. So we have been splitting these 197 teams into these groups that you see here. So some of them have been receiving feedback from AI, but they have not been told it was from AI. Some of them have been receiving feedback from AI, but been informed about this. Then there was a group receiving feedback from professors, and me, Bob, and Daz, we have been working on this feedback. So we were the human beings providing those feedbacks. And then there was also a control group with no feedback. This is actually the age, education, the English skills, the time size of each of these subgroups that we have been testing. But I can be quick on this. The feedback has been provided along the way. So at some point, so in week 3, week 5, week 7, so not just at the end of the business report, but along the way. So they were all receiving this feedback in the same way from the same source, and some of them were not informed it was actually AI. I don't want to long on the variables and the measure of them. So we have a way to measure satisfaction. We ask students or individual way with a questionnaire. And regarding performance, some of us are actually providing evaluation on business plans. So maybe we are familiar with that, but basically we're evaluating those business plans according to a number of variables. We have been using the most typical controls here, like age, team size, gender, and so on. So what are actually the tests that we have been conducting? So it was a typical multivariate analysis of the variances. And we have been detecting some significant differences in satisfaction and performance among those groups. But let me go to the results that we have that we might then comment. So basically, the teams that have been receiving feedback from human beings are not necessarily more satisfied. The difference was actually not significant. But actually, if the teams have been informed that it was coming from AI, that if they were not informed that it was coming from AI, then the level of satisfaction was actually higher. So actually the critical point in relation to satisfaction was knowing or not knowing that it was from AI. So basically the student was not able to see the difference from and this is a good point, from the feedback of the professors and the one coming from AI. But if they are informed, they are indeed not satisfied. The same was actually in relation to performance. So teams receiving human feedback were actually not performing in any significant different way in respect to the students that were getting feedback from AI. But again, the difference was actually coming out if they were informed or not informed. So basically the 4 hypotheses that I showed you are partially verified in the sense that what is critical is that the students are informed or not informed about the source of the feedback. So I think this is a pretty big result for instructors, because actually in something as basic as providing some short feedback to students or on a business report, AI is not doing a terrible job. And most of the time, students are not able to see the difference. So I don't know if because AI is especially smart, or if instructors are not providing especially long and informative feedback, but this is what actually is coming out. And so I don't know if going into the discussion, but probably the discussion should be actually be here among ourselves. Maybe I can just say something about the purpose of this study. So actually, I think what is new is actually applying paradoxical theory to management education. And so looking at what is actually positive in doing so and the problems that we might have, we think we are very much in favor of embracing these paradoxical tensions that are there. It cannot be avoided. So I think all the people working on this project think that it would be meaningless to forbid artificial intelligence, but it is actually here going to stay. And this is my last point. We have not been investigating what actually artificial intelligence is. And very often, I think there is a lot of a misunderstanding about, we tend to make artificial intelligence anthropomorphic, but it is actually not. It is actually a big machine doing a big statistical exercise that is actually matching a number of words, that is our question, or the student report, and looking for the most suitable group of words that is actually matching it. So it is actually working in a non-parsimonious way. And so sometimes we tend to forget what it really is. But I don't want to go into the debate by myself, so I would stop here.
Thank you, Ernesto. So the most important message or two messages from Ernesto's presentation are that one, AI can be as effective as professors at providing feedback. As long as students don't know that it came from AI, they will be equally happy and will improve their performance equally well or even better than when they get feedback from AI. From my point as an administrator, I would like to add second big question, and Ernesto kind of mentioned it. So not only AI is capable of being as good as a human, but the good news is that AI is cheaper and AI is more reliable. So for this study, we had about a dozen professors who not only did the work, but they volunteered to do the work. So they were intrinsically motivated to participate in this study. So these are not just professors, but professors who signed up to provide feedback. And even with these people, so I was the one sort of managing the process, and some were late, some were, sloppy, some, just would say like, great job, keep it up. I mean, what kind of feedback is that? So for me as an administrator, it was a major, major hassle. And here I have the option of AI that empirically we have demonstrated is as good. You press the button, you get the answer in a few seconds. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to owe them anything. I mean, from the administrative point of view, if you ask me, that's a pretty good deal. So that's one of the opportunities. Now, obviously, AI presents a lot of challenges, and we talked about plagiarism.
Could I interrupt you for a second? Because it is an extremely interesting research. And so my question was a little bit about methodology. I mean, do the professors who participated with these groups, did they knew that they are participating in research? Or they were randomly, you randomly have chosen the groups and they were professors inside of those groups, so they were like working normally?
They knew, so normally professors do not provide feedback every week. And
so they knew that this is an experiment. The second question, were they banned of using AI while providing feedbacks?
Well, let me answer not your question, but with a comment. AI is developing extremely fast. Every week it can do things differently, better in different ways. AI is very sensitive to prompts, so better prompts give better results. So I would suggest that you all look at this study not as a study that proves something, not as a study that shows that AI is as good or better than professors, but rather as a study that shows that even a few months ago when we did the study, when AI was still sort of old and underdeveloped, even with the primitive prompts we use, we already could get those results. If we did it today, I bet AI would have been even better. And in a year from now, when you try it, you will get better.
Exactly. That is an issue. That is an issue. In fact, my question was, and my expectation was that AI might give a better feedback than
That's
just
exactly
normal
the point.
professors. It's okay, continue.
Yeah, that's, again, I will be talking in a second about the challenges. And so I do personally have some serious reservations. In fact, let me give you an example. So for this year's conferences, I was assigned like 6 papers to review for AAB and like 4 papers to review for AUM. And obviously I thought, hey, other people are getting a lot of papers to review. And I know how people are sloppy when the time comes to review papers. How many of them will decide to upload the papers to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to evaluate, to basically write a paper review? So I decided to experiment. So what I did is I reviewed the papers myself as a human, but then I uploaded those same papers to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT to do the review. And here is a very, very important disturbing finding. ChatGPT provides something that looks like a very good review. So it's long, it's detailed, it talks about specific things, but it cannot catch things that really matter. Like, for example, in one of those studies, I spotted that the data came from China. I had some serious concerns about how the survey was conducted. So I knew that the data are probably not very valid. ChatGPT didn't know it. ChatGPT only looked at your literature review is not long enough, or your arguments are not thorough enough, or you have some typos. I mean, I picked on that too, but that's not the most important thing. You want to look at the methodology, you want to look at the sort of validity, and that's what ChatGPT still cannot do. So when it comes to student feedback, same thing. So it's good at evaluating the quality of your writing, but it's not so good at evaluating like economic viability of the ideas provided by the students. So as I said, it's a nice tool to support you, but I don't think quite yet it can sort of replace you, or at least replace you at a highly intellectual tasks. Maybe in a year it will, and by now it seems to be doing a pretty good job overall, but there are still, like when it comes to science, I would be very, very cautious as a professor to rely on the ideas from ChatGPT. Form, criticism, feedback, you should use it. Like you must use it if you want to stay current. Ideas, I don't think it can quite compete with a good professor yet.
Thank you.
Natalia, I think you were asking a different question at the beginning regarding the methodology. So if the professor were forbidden using actually AI in providing the feedback. So the professors providing those feedbacks, basically it was me, Bob, Vas, so it were actually the co-authors. So actually what might actually be wrong, that it was actually a group of professors that was especially motivated in providing those feedbacks. So actually if it might be wrong from a methodological point of view is that it was higher than average human feedback, because actually we were under investigation. So if we use the real human feedbacks that we have at the end, where maybe some people just say good, it was fine, or maybe they do not provide the feedback, I think it would be even stronger, the results, that artificial intelligence was actually better, because it is a pretty mechanical exercise. The students reading those feedbacks maybe pretty quickly. And so when it is something mechanical, actually artificial intelligence is actually doing pretty good. Artificial intelligence does not get tired, is not thinking that writing feedback to students is wasting time, does not get emotional if it's especially bad, it does not get emotional if it's especially good. So it is a machine, and for mechanical works, its machines are actually better than human beings.
Thank you, Ernesto. That is actually what I was asking about, because I can hardly remember last time when I was giving feedback for my students participating in Next Culture project, because of the reasons that you mentioned before. But there are lots of things to do, except providing feedback. So thank you. Anyway, it is an incredibly interesting research that is actually reflecting the future. So basically, we are still supporting the idea that the person with AI may work, may educate better than the person without AI. And still AI is not able to replace a person and act independently. Thank you for...
The AI, as Steve Jobs said about computers once,
Yeah.
it's a bicycle for the mind. It is a bicycle for the mind. So it cannot ride without you. It may not, it will not ride in the right direction if you don't steer it in the right direction. But with the bike, using the same energy, the same muscles, the same body, you can move much faster. So same thing with calculators, same thing with statistical analysis software. You may still remember the times when you needed to do calculations by hand. Now, not only you can use statistical analysis software, you have to. I bet it will be the same thing with AI. So the important thing here is it is not AI that will replace professors. So AI will not replace professors. Professors with AI will replace professors without AI.
This is what we are talking about, and it is a great issue. Anyway, it is a positive result of this section. And again, I don't know how we are doing that, but again, we are perfectly on time, like in minutes of time. I would like to send my thanks to the participants of this section. And we are moving to the next section that is about the web reputation. We will have the section totally, our panelists are all representatives of the legal entities. So we will speak with the lawyers and we will address the lawyers our questions about the legal safeguards in the digital realm. I would like to again present you Professor Luigi Di Santo from the University of Cassino, and I would like to address my first question to him. How can the digital revolution and advancement in AI lead to a new era of responsibility, enhancing consumer sovereignty and ensuring transparency in the digital age? And what legal frameworks are necessary to support this transition?
Thank you, Natalia. As we enter the digital age, we realize that we are surrounded by machines that observe us, know our tastes, build our public image, judge who's right and who's wrong. This raises questions, especially as artificial intelligence process the tracks we live in the infospace, identify our profile, and seems to predict our future, more like a nightmare than a dystopia. This conference report aims to reserve this perspective by considering some example drawn from legal experience and asking whether the digital revolution is not rather hinting at a new era of responsibility. Postmodernity certainly doesn't place humanism at the center. Rather, it evokes the dissolution of meaning and the crisis of legitimacy. It is said, for example, that the man of the digital era reduced to a sum of data is slipping towards a condition of subservience to a system of algorithmic governance. Let us think of the consumer. It transits through the network, disseminating its traces everywhere, which are then algorithmically collated until they compose his profile and condition his purchasing decisions. Neuroscience then, illuminating the areas of the brain involved in the purchasing process, seem to offer the great bakers of the digital market the keys to access the secrets of the brain, and thus orient the consumer choice in an invisible and irresistible manner. A condition, this narrative is insidious because it is suggestive and because it makes true and false. Let us then try to invert the paradigm. What if, precisely thanks to the opportunities made available by information technologies, the main consumer could at least partially regain sovereignty over his own choice? This is the question. And what if on the horizon, along with a new and more insidious form of subjugation of unaware and defenseless individual by the sharks prowling the market, a new principle of responsibility on horizon? After all, it's precisely the computational power of algorithms that allows today's consumer to acquire the relevant information with respect to each product or service and make his choice on the basis of these digital traces impressed on the product by the entire production process. This means imposing on companies an obligation of transparency of the production process and of correct representation of public of the characteristics of each product. Reflection on our being consumers in the digital age teach two things. First, the need for a vast digital literacy combined. Only a new relationship with artificial intelligence will enable the consumer man to enhance his intelligence, gain awareness in his decision, and act responsibly. Second, the law must perform its ordering function, not only by commanding or forbidding, but by guaranteeing the existence of the conditions so that the production processes are clear and certified. The information is accessible and intelligible, and our decisions are finally free. We must free ourselves from many cliches that inhibit the public discussion of the surveillance society and get used to pretending our private lives and ourselves in a space now inhabited by both human and artificial intelligence. The law has a role to play, not of the guaranteeing the right of each person to be alone, caged within himself, but to promote being with others in order to rediscover ourselves. Man is not the owner of a self understood as a space to be defended, but is a pilgrim whose path crosses others and for longer or shorter stretches countries with them. It's a new scenario. And in this scenario, there are two main temptations. One end, the nostalgia for sovereignty over unannounced private sphere. Hence the dream of for baseball rewriting the boundaries of the self, raising barriers to defend each from the invasive presence of the others. Other hand, the temptation and integral abandonment to collective intelligence. Dispersion of the boundaries of the self to the benefit of community, of no longer individuals. Let us consider the first type. The individual would surface the loss of the former boundaries of his or her private life, doesn't realize that the problem is not the fact that he or she is constantly being observed, nor the fact that it is artificial eye that is observing. Rather than the gaze of one fellow man, the human eye can be dehumanizing, just as that of the machine can be protective and reassuring. The problem, if anything, it's why and in view of what the eye looks. Already in the Germanic root of the word looking, not by chance, are contained both the idea of surveillance and that of respect. Watching can be conformed to justice when it is respectful, and the very act of watching can respond to a need for respect. The truth is that we must free ourselves from the many commonplaces that inhibit the public discussion of the surveillance society, and without ideological positions. This is this is a dangerous and in an informational society. In a space now inhabited by both human and artificial intelligence. In our time, therefore, the promises for a new era of responsibility can as be glimpsed. The principle will only be able to fully unfold these effects in the information society through a widespread process of digital literacy. We have to learn how thinking machines think and how to make them understand us, how to take advantage for their formidable computing power, and at the same time, how to act on them, changing them, orienting them, teaching them our hierarchy of values. The reference is first for all to image offered by the main search engines, when following the entry of the first and the last named query, the index words of the sites associated with that first and the last name. It is a fact that the index elaborated and ordered by the algorithm of the links to the websites referring to each individual has a significant impact on the person's social standing, especially since the network collects and stores a lot and cheaply, but rarely forgets. And so the algorithm constructs the digital image of each person, even by drawing on a very old data, and sometimes no longer representative of the person's current identity. A valuable lesson on this subject comes from a ruling of the Court of Justice in the European Union of 24 September 2019, which not only reaffirms the need to balance on one's rights to protect one's identity from news that is now out of date, with the right of others to know that news, especially, is referring to facts of public interest. But it also specifies that where the right knowledge prevails, the search engine must arrange the list of results in such a way that the resulting global image reflects the current judicial situation. Our identity today is relevant in its osmotic constitution, nourished by the continuous exchange of information with the outside world. In the privacy of tomorrow, the right to become oneself will be guaranteed, rather than defense against intrusion into the space of Eden. Paradoxically, as it may seem, interaction with artificial intelligence can make us more aware of how we reason, more aware of our judges, our prejudice, more capable of motivating our decisions, and who knows, despite the claims of gloomy singers of digital inhumanism, the co-determination between our intelligence and artificial intelligence may not help to make us more human. Thanks.
Thank you, Luigi. You have raised a lot of interesting questions. I would like to ask you regarding your speech. Why do you think it is a cliché that the algorithm leads to a dehumanization of relationships and the empowerment of choices?
So, in conference report, I could only speak of the problem of computing power of algorithms, which enable control operations that benefit all parties in a relationship, including those of an economic nature. This means that the power deployed by artificial intelligence is not unidirectional, so that there is no controller and controlled, but everyone is both controller and controlled. The condition for this to happen in a virtuous way, as I mentioned, is that technology is not the prerogative of the few, and therefore a minimum of digital literacy is needed to face the challenge of the new world.
So why do you believe that protecting a person's identity is closely linked to the knowledge of how algorithms reason.
Okay. The internet is a vast container of data. How we know, and as the Court of Justice reminds us, not least with the Google Spine case is famous. It follows that search engine algorithm construct or our digital identity, and that is why we need to know how they work in order to understand whether or not they are compatible with the legal models of reference. And so in this sense, I believe that through the algorithm, we become more aware of how we reason.
Thank you. Thank you, Luigi. I would like to say my thanks to Professor Di Santo. And I would like to move to a little bit another, maybe not the same, but the practical part of the legal issues. I would like to address my questions to Piera Di Stefano. We have met with Piera, how many years ago, Piera, do you remember? That was an event called in Taras Shevchenko University.
Yes.
Was a panel.
7 years ago.
7 years ago. And so Piera arrived in Kiev to share this idea of creating a dream team of protecting web reputation. So there were representatives of IT sector. You will then meet Filippo Rossi, who were with us. And so now Piera is here. Piera, could you share your experience? How is AI now used to damage the reputation of companies, entrepreneurs, and professionals?
Yes, Natalia. First of all, I want to thank you, the Taras Shevchenko University, and you for inviting me in this very interesting event on the topics current. I prepared a short report and I want to share with you, and I can make available with you. So then, a moment. So, crime exploits new technologies to carry out its criminal intentions as best as possible and with the least possible risks. Let's think of the case of the crypto smartphones, that anti-interception mobile phones that use sophisticated algorithmics, which after years have been decrypted and which are used for mafias, murders, and drug trafficking. On the subject of artificial intelligence, among the reputational damage that individuals or businesses can suffer, those arising from deep fakes are reaching worrying levels. As all we know, deep fakes are videos or audio recording that have been manipulated and recently, for example, there has been attack of this kind of figures: Joe Biden, Keir Starmer, Taylor Swift, Martin Lewis. In addition, just 2 days ago was published the news that the voice of Scarlett Johansson was cloned using the technology of OpenAI for the new version of ChatGPT 4o. In April 2022, Europol published a report that provides the detailed overview of the criminal use of deepfake technology. The report examines so many and crucial aspects, like the phenomenon of deepfakes and the underlying technology, the impact of deepfakes on crime and law enforcement, deepfake detection, action taken by technology companies and the European Union to counter deepfakes. In today's digital age, deepfakes pose a serious threat to business leaders, particularly CEOs on boards of directors. There are a few examples of how deepfakes can be used to harm businesses. CEO identity theft scams. A CEO's voice can be replicated to create a fraudulent audio message that tricks an employee into transferring funds to fake accounts. Misleading video content, videos that show executives or board members engaging in inappropriate or unethical behavior can damage their reputations and undermine trust in corporate leadership. Disinformation to influence election. Deepfakes can be used to spread false information about politicians or candidates in order to sway voters. There are several steps businesses can take to prepare for and counter the threat of deepfakes. Awareness and training. It's important to educate employees about deepfakes and how to identify them. Web monitoring. Monitor the web for any potential deepfakes that could harm the company. Collaboration with law enforcement. In the event of a harmful deepfake, it's important to report it to the appropriate authorities. Use of deepfake detection technology. There are several technologies that can detect deepfakes, which companies can use to protect themselves. So, how can businesses better prepare to combat this threat? According to Wasim Khaled, CEO of Blackbird AI, there are several steps businesses can take to prepare for and counter the threat of deepfakes. 1. Invest in deepfakes defense training. The first step is to invest in deepfakes defense training for employees. This training will help employees to identify and report deepfakes that they encounter. Organizations should maintain ongoing and direct dialogue with their cybersecurity and IT risk management personnel and invest in employee training to enable them to readily identify deepfake content. The second step, according to Wasim Khaled, it's a very interesting interview, is to train to provide the fastest possible response in the event of a deepfake attack. Organizations should train their employees to quickly identify and report deepfakes. This training should cover topics such as how to identify deepfakes, how to report them to the hosting platform, and what to do if the platform does not remove the deepfake promptly. How? By contacting the platform on which the deepfake is hosted, which is most often social media, and reporting both the content and the accounts sharing the content through the reporting tool. This falls between the remedies established by the Digital Services Act, DSA. So the organization should report deepfakes to the hosting platform as soon as possible. The Digital Services Act is a new European law that requires online platforms to take steps to remove illegal content, including deepfakes. Under the DCA, designated services, including Bing, Facebook, media in general, must carry out an adequate risk assessment and adopt respective risk mitigation measures. Generative AI is one of the risks identified by the European Commission in its guidelines European Parliament in June. On May 17, the European Commission has taken note of the danger posed by deepfakes and has sent requests for information to various online platforms like Bing, Google Search, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, to find out what measures they are taking to combat the spread of deepfakes and the manipulation of information. A request for information is an investigatory act that does not prejudice potential further step of the Commission not decides to take. Based on the assessment of the replies, the Commission will assess the next steps. The speed of removal is essential to contain the damage that can arise from an uncontrolled circulation online and beyond of compromising and manipulating AI-generated audio and video clips. Because deepfakes can be used to damage reputations, spread misinformation, and even incite violence. Another crucial measure to prevent and mitigate the impact of deepfakes on businesses and organizations is to engage forensic experts capable of detecting and investigating such content use high-performance software. The software should be able to identify the source of deepfakes, which can help the organization identify the person or group responsible for creating it. The software uses AI to identify deepfakes. The AI is trained on a large dataset of deepfakes and other manipulated content, which allows it to identify even very sophisticated deepfakes. In a nutshell, companies need to come up with a plan to deal with the deepfake crisis. According to Wasim Khaled, this plan should involve all the top dogs in the company and outline a communication strategy for both internal and external stakeholders. The goal is to handle the situation quickly and effectively while protecting the trust of stakeholders. Stakeholders will appreciate the company's transparency and the proactiveness in communication, what's happening and how they addressing the crisis.
Sorry, I forgot about the microphone. Thank you, Piera. What should we do? I mean, what are the key legal challenges a business face in maintaining a positive online reputation? Because you were talking about the reaction. They should immediately send the information. The information should be deleted. From the legal point of view, what is going on? What is happening?
Yes, one moment, because so the state of corporate reputation, everything matters now, is a recent study by Weber Shandwick in collaboration with the KRC Research and based on interviews about 2,000 executives from large companies operating in 22 different markets. This report has found that factors for a successful corporate reputation today are so many and all contribute more or less equally to building and strengthening it. Quality, innovation, product or service value, financial performance, diversity and inclusion in the workplace, employee training and support, marketing and communication, social responsibility, philanthropy and charity. An additional key finding of the Weber Shandwick research is that reputation makes a substantial contribution to a company's market value. The average of the executives interviewed stated that the high reputation of their organization is a research that can impact 63% of its back to value. The study also found that executives believe that a strong reputation is essential for attracting and retaining top talent. A strong reputation can help companies to secure better deals with the suppliers and customers. A strong reputation can help companies to weather crises and emerge strong. The study's findings suggest that the companies should pay close attention to their reputation and take steps to building and maintain a strong one. The insights from the study are: the importance of reputation varies depending on the industry in which a company operates. The factors that contribute to a stronger reputation vary depending on the company's stakeholders, and companies need to communicate their reputation effectively to their stakeholders. Overall, the Weber-Shandwick study is a valuable research for companies that are looking to understand the importance of reputation, how to build a strong one. So what are the principal tips for building a strong reputation, online reputation? Focus on quality, innovation, and value. Create a diverse and inclusive workplace. Invest in employee training and development. Communicate effectively with your stakeholder. Be socially responsible and philanthropic. In today's digital landscape, information spreads virally and without control, prompting companies to invest in tools, processes, and personnel capable of monitoring the trajectory of their so-called reputational curve, both positively and negatively. News, videos, comments, and a wide range of content related to a specific company contribute to shaping its image. Generally speaking, in case of reputational damage, managing the consequent crisis where the company is the victim of the incident, in the sense that no relative fault can be attributed to the management, direction, or personnel of the company itself, does not present particular complexity. The same applies in cases where the responsibility is attributable to the company, but in relation to truly limited incidents in which the reputational risk can be easily controlled. On the other hand, in the case of a so-called intentional crisis caused excessively by voluntary or seriously negligent behavior, omission or commission of the corporation or those who manage it in various capacities, the incident management process is extremely complex, expensive, and very often incapable to contain the damage to the company's reputation. So which are the key considerations for managing intentional online reputational crisis? Swift and the transparent communication. So communicating the incident and demonstrating a commitment to transparency are crucial of regaining stakeholder trust. Thorough investigation. Conduct a comprehensive investigation to determine the root cause of the incident and identify any responsible parties. Accountability and apology. Take appropriate action against those responsible and offer a sincere apology to affected stakeholders. Remedial measures. Implement measures to prevent similar incidents online from recurring and demonstrate a commitment to ethical conduct. and reputation restoration. Engage in target reputation restoration strategies to rebuild stakeholder trust and mitigate long-term damage. So these are the key. So defense, prevent, defense, and react immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Piera. I think that
Sorry for my English. I'm so sorry for my
it was perfect. I think that one of the last very important tip is to have the business card of Piera Di Stefano in your pocket and be ready to call her in any possible case of protecting your bad reputation. I have her business card. Maybe she will be ready to share with you her business card also. Thank you, Piera. Thank you, Luigi. We are finalizing our third section in web reputation and legal aspects of protecting the web reputation. And we are moving to our fourth and last for today section. We will talk about impacts of digitalization and AI on business, unwilling benefits and risks in contemporary practices. We've got three participants who represent three different sectors. I would like to remind you that we've got Filippo Rossi from Joycom Company, the CEO. This is the cybersecurity company. We've got Irina Andriushenko from Handy AI. This is AI company, as you can understand. And we've got Carlo Adami from the banking sector. So I would like to address my first questions to Filippo. When Piera was talking about, she was talking about the transformation of cybersecurity landscape and the reaction of cybersecurity companies who should be ready. So how has AI transformed the cybersecurity landscape? And is your company already integrating AI into its cybersecurity solutions?
Okay, hi Natalia. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's always a real pleasure to speak with you. And I did my homework.
Filippo is the best. So we met each other very many years ago, and the first thing he said when we met, we were discussing some possible troubles with connection and so on. And so he said to me, "Don't worry, I have plan B."
And then now I have the plan A for the moment. I hope it works. And I prepared the presentation that I would like to share with you. But it's like a path for speaking about this question. It's better because there are many things to speak about. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Then please ask me what you want about this. The impact of the AI in the cybersecurity is very important, and this impact touch all the meaning of the cybersecurity. The red team, then the attackers, and the blue team, then the protector, the security field. What we do cybersecurity, and we protect our customers. Then we can start to analyze what the AI can do for threat detection and response. It's really important to use the AI because the volume of data is really important now, and a human can't do what we can do with the help of the intelligence, the artificial intelligence. There are many complexity and many large amount of data to analyze. Then with the use of the systems that use the AI, it's really plus sample for us to understand what happened and to detect unusual behavior. The user behavior also with the AI is really real more understanding. The AI can drive system and automatically can respond to certain threats. For us, it's really important to minimize the damage, then interview in fast, really fast, in short time, sorry. Predictive and analytics. Also for this, it's important to use some instrument because as I told before, there are many data, also historical data. You can imagine how many data we need to analyze for understanding what happened in the past and what it will be happen now. Then for understanding what it will be happen, it's important to use the AI. Then proactive approach help to reduce the risk. Fraud detection, we spoke about this with Carlo, I think. Also, many financial institutes use AI for understanding what happened in that field. Then I go fast. Malware detection. Also, the old antivirus system are not performer now. We use all the new technologies for understanding what happened with the behavior, and for analyzing behavior, it's important to use the AI. Is really important also for detecting the zero-day exploit. It's impossible to understand for a human what happened at the time, the real time. Also for the hacker, there are many instruments now that they can use. As you know, it's not my field, but we look what they do, what they can use. They can use automatic attacks that can arrange different methods for attack their target, and with the high power is really fast to do this, is adaptive, and they can do many things difficult for understanding to us. They can create convincing phishing emails. As you know, the email is the most important vehicle of attack. And if they, as Piera told before, with changing the voice or the video, they can change also the email. They can use the email for arriving in a computer and start an attack. They can really use many instruments, difficult for us to understand and to prevent their attack. Also, in our field, we have many instruments to prevent and to understand what happened. And also we, with Joycom, we use many instruments like next generation firewall that use the AI to analyze the network traffic in real time and detect threats, intrusion detection and prevention system. Also use AI for identify and prevent intrusion. The CIEM, Security Information Event Management, is used to correlate information from many instruments it's impossible to understand what happened didn't using AI. AI is fundamental for do this. And also the old antivirus endpoint protection platform are changed, and then they use now heavier system, and then with the AI, sorry, for helping us to go fast on a problem, to see the problem also, because we can see what happened. In conclusion, the AI changed really definitely our world, really, really, really. It offers many tools for us and also for our enemy. This is the reality. And the future of cybersecurity is with AI, but for helping us, not for damage us or our employee or our business. It's important for our business. This is my presentation, and I used the AI for write this little presentation. Then thank you also to the AI, and this is. I wait for
Thank you, Filippo. So basically, you agree with the thesis that we hear during all the panel today, that still specialists with AI will replace specialists without AI, and we are not talking about AI that will replace people.
No, AI help people. For example, a security operation center, a SOC, that is full of people that they need to work the night 365 days for a year. They use AI for analyzing the threat, and it's helpful for us to use this instrument. It's better also for the employer. That means that it's not a problem for us, the AI. Yes, I know that the AI is dangerous in many fields, but for us it's important to have this.
Thank you. Thank you, Filippo. Thank you for your presentation and for your vision. And I would like to move to AI sector. I would like to introduce Irina Andriushenko. I must say that I know Irina very many years. Basically, I know her since my first year of the elementary school. And we met since years, and we now collaborate, and I'm extremely happy to see her today here in this panel. Ira has created Handy AI. What inspired the creation of your AI-based app, and what problems does it aim to solve?
Thank you. Yeah, so about our inspiration, we were working on AI even in pre-GPT and pre-AI time, we can say. So we were using first chatbots in Ukraine. We were the first company in Ukraine creating chatbots for big Ukrainian enterprises like National Railways and mining companies. And so we were inspired, like how many really operation problems this technology can solve. Because what we understood from all our communication with small clients in North America and with enterprise level clients in Ukraine, that there are so many gaps in operations and coordination in communications that cannot be solved by any existing technical tools. So companies use like big ERP systems, CRM systems, they put them in one or two big operations models, but they are not connected. And so this process is not smooth. And so what we are doing now using AI, we are doing AI lead business operations. So we integrate all their employees, clients, and corporate software in one, like connecting them, and we are inspired to give businesses this possibility to utilize possibilities of AI. So when we understand how we can use ChatGPT ourselves, for example, yeah, we can use it to search something, to rewrite our letter or something. Imagine you are a business and you cannot just take ChatGPT and put it to serve your clients, for example, or your employees. So you need to put your information, but even if you will feed them with ChatGPT or Gemini, you will feed with all your corporate knowledge. Imagine you think it's no secrets there, but even in that case, it will just give your client some guess. You need to include it into your real business process in order to serve your clients. But for so many businesses, they will not allow ChatGPT to use any corporate library, any corporate knowledge, because this is what they really need to have secured. And so that's why what we do and why we think it's so important, we give businesses possibility to utilize this possibilities of generative AI, of different LLM systems, large language models to operate their business. So, for example, you will use ChatGPT only for small things. You will not like feed them with all information. You will not allow you to execute your business process. But you can use different AI to like your trade secrets, and you can use different AI to operate your business process. So we think our like mission is to make this possible, to give these small businesses a possibility to utilize this power of AI for their business.
Okay, what steps does Handy AI take to maintain user trust in an AI-driven applications? I mean, you have heard the results of the research that Ernesto and Was were talking about. From your point of view, maybe you have made this sort of the research of when your clients inside of the organization are using your application, do they act as with a human being or with an artificial intelligence? I mean, this is, you know, the joke, like how many of people are switching on the light for robots who are cleaning the house. We are still trying to switch on the light because otherwise we'll probably not be able to see anything. So what is your answer?
Yeah, very important question. So first of all, we were talking about end users. So clients of our clients, yeah, our customers. So we mean people who use the product. Would be employees or clients of our clients. So in our case, they will usually see this word bot. So when you are answering by AI in any messenger, you will see this bot word. So if you understand that it is a bot, you understand it is AI inside. But yeah, I agree, we need to tell people that they are, and we are trying to provide this in all policies, but you know, no one is reading policies like in real world. So if our clients want to stress attention of their clients that they're served by AI, they can include it into their communication. So, and we notice that it's better to tell people. So now you are serving by AI. If you think something is wrong, please push this button and we will include human. So in our product, we usually ask our clients to put this in order to give their clients understanding that it is AI now or it is a human. This is about end users. But, you know, when you get solution of your problem. For example, you are not like have small talk, you need your problem to be solved. When you understand that AI is solving, not like answering you something, but solving. What is a great thing about AI? It can solve the problem, it can execute the process and make a solution, not like tell you what to do, but like say, okay, your tickets are booked, or here is your trip and here is your hotel. So not just go there and there. And so when this help is valued, so you're not thinking, oh, why it is AI? You are like, okay, but we usually stress attention that it was AI inside. But speaking about data, it's very important for company to understand when they use ChatGPT, they feed their data to ChatGPT. And when they use, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini to understand the questions, all these questions became a data of ChatGPT. So if they do not want this, they need to use their own LLM models. So it's possible you can use whether ChatGPT or you can use your own model. In that case, no data will be available outside the company. And so what we do from our side, we explain this for the companies. So we explain what type of data will be in ChatGPT and like public, and what should be inside if they don't want ChatGPT to know this. And what else is very important about companies, they need to understand how we, like a platform, how we use their data. For example, we see all behavioral data. Every tool, every technology, every website, they see this data. And so what they do with this, what they can do with this. So there are a lot of policies, but it's really about ethics of the platform, ethics of the company. And so what we do, we never use it like personal data. We use only in aggregated way. But in every case, we should explain company that their data will be used like this, will be used to understand what is, for example, what is the best time to push their clients to do something, what is the best answer in that case. To train the system, we should use the data. So every time our users interact with the system, they train the system, and the system becomes smarter and smarter due to this data. But what we think is so important to do is to explain this. And company may say, no, I don't want to train it. I want to use as it is, without AI, only like process automation, and it is okay for some business processes. And what is very important about AI, so when you add AI to business process, it doesn't mean we automate existing business process. AI changes business process, because AI doing like not only helping them to execute the real process, they will change because they are acting differently. Their approach is different. That's why companies should understand whether they want to change this or they want to act as usual. In that case, no AI. For example, in these cases, we use AI, and here we don't use AI. In these cases, we use ChatGPT. In these cases, we use only our own AI.
Thank you, Ira. From your observations, because you are Ukrainian by origin, then you were moving and living in different countries. Now you are in Canada. From your point of view, are there some differences or prejudice towards AI in different countries? For example, you find Ukraine more open or more closed, or on the contrary, Canada is more open or more closed in using it?
You know, there are so many discussions in, for example, Canada, and it is open discussions. They have some roundtables about these regulations. I would say Europe is more regulated. Policies in Europe are more about data as well. So in Europe, you should have your data in data center in Europe. For example, in Ukraine, you should storage your data in Ukraine. You cannot have your data in US. In Canada, there are no restrictions. You can have your data whatever you want. So there are some different regulations about this data and about these privacy policies. So North America and Europe, they have differences in this users' data, privacy policies. But speaking about AI, I think we are at the very beginning of these discussions. We cannot compare because these regulations, they are just starting to act, and you cannot now understand how you should regulate the way AI is acting, because you don't understand what should be regulated, for example, and how to regulate it. So that's why I would say that in data storage and user data, Europe is more regulated. Ukraine is closer to Europe, and so Ukraine will follow European regulations, I think, because Ukraine is going to join European Union in some future, and they're using European regulations as well. Canada and the US are, for now, they are more open, but I would say they would have some regulations too. Here in Canada, they're doing like meeting business, universities, and government to create these policies together.
Thank you. Thank you, Irina. Thank you for your insightful presentation. And we will move to the financial sector and to Carlo Adami. You know, there is the phrase that money like silence. So in the case of AI, what is going on in the banking sector? What are the most effective AI techniques that currently being used in the banking sector? What is going on?
Okay. First of all, good evening to everybody. I will thank you, Natalia, for inviting me to this very interesting panel discussion. And I also will thank Taras Shevchenko that, as you know, I have a strong bond, strong relationship with that university that provide me my PhD. So I'm really happy to participate. And I'm really happy to participate also in consideration on the topic that actually is a very important and significant topic. I can say that not only in the financial system and in the banking industry, but overall, as we have understood by listening all the other panelists present today. And the reason I want to stress on the importance of artificial intelligence is that last year, during the G20 that was under the Indian presidency, cybersecurity, automatization, and artificial intelligence were one of the most significant topics discussed among the different countries. This semester is the Italian presidency of the G7, and still one of the hot topics during this G7 forum is artificial intelligence. Countries are searching a way to build a kind of common framework among countries in order, especially in the financial industry, in order to implement artificial intelligence techniques, in order to define a common legal frameworks, in order to control also some limited to put regulation in the field. Moving to the bank, to the banking system, I can say that if artificial intelligence is a disrupting technology overall, for the banking industry and the financial sector is a game changer element. It's something that is revolutionizing all the system. Artificial intelligence techniques are able to enhance efficiency, to improve customer experience, to bolster security, and more important, to manage a large amount of data. And banks, as we know, works on the data. They are the very big data warehouses. There are different techniques, and now that we are talking, probably there is one bank that are learning or introducing or implementing a new techniques or a new approach of an old techniques. I want just to provide you with some of the most common and relevant techniques, artificial intelligence techniques that are used in the banking system. The first one I could say could be the machine learning techniques used in the fraud detection. And probably it's the most common, the one that we know when we use our credit card. Machine learning algorithms are able to analyze a very large volumes of transaction data in a real time. So they can provide an outcome very quickly. They can identify a partners that are related to the financial transaction, and in the process to detect the fraudulent activities. So this system, differently from a human that need a lot of time in order to analyze a big amount of data, can learn from historical data, and the bank have an historical background or behavior of their customers. And in this approach, they can recognize some anomalies and flag potentially fraudulent transaction. In this way, reducing the risk of financial loss, reducing the loss of the bank, and maintaining high the reputation of the bank. Another technique that is quite used among the financial institution, also banks, the traditional bank, is the natural language processing. And it is especially used in the case of customer service. Actually, the typical example is the chatbot, the virtual assistant that we can see on the website of the bank that provide 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, several customer services, from assisting the clients to a financial transaction, to answer to some specific question, or help customer with more complex problem. This for sure improves satisfaction, the satisfaction of the customer, and at the same time, and this is linked with one of your questions that you made before, reduce the workload of human customers, so reduce the need of people doing that. It could raise an issue, for sure. In this case, artificial intelligence substitute in some way people, and substitute people in a better way, I could say. Another techniques that is really very used is the predictive analytic in the risk management. Risk management is a kind of a core element of the bank because it's related to the core business of the bank, that is lending. Actually, the use of the artificial intelligence is important in the credit scoring and in the risk assessment. In particular, this predictive analytics model are able to analyze better than people, for sure, customer data in order to predict their creditworthinesses, evaluate the potential risks, and assess the customer in a better way. This model, of course, in order to do that, collect a large amount of data, analyze a lot of factors like spending patterns, income levels, historical repayment behavior of people. And so by collecting a lot of data in a very quick time, in a very short time, they are able to provide a more accurate credit score and the risk assessment that is very useful in what is considered the core business of a bank. Then, if we move from the core business of the bank to another important business function, that is marketing, in this case, another artificial intelligence techniques is the sentiment analysis for the market, for collecting market insight. In this case, this artificial technique is capable to evaluate customer feedback by collecting a lot of data using social media posts, market news, in order to, have a kind of understanding about the public sentiment, and after that, they are able to implement some specific marketing strategy to change previous marketing strategy. So it's very important for in the competition among banks. Now that there is a strong concentration with a bank that work with the union bank system, in which bank of different country can work together and operate abroad. Competition is increasing, and so having the ability to evaluate, to understand how the market moves, which are the future trends, is really relevant. And something connecting to this aspect is also related to trading, and in the specific to the high frequency trading. In this case, this operation, bank or financial institution that carry out trading activity can make this operation every day by collecting a lot of information data on the internet. The internet is, the biggest warehouse in the world, and they can understand also by reading posts on Facebook, on other social media, what people think, and using this information in order to make some expectation about the future trend of some shares, some bonds, or something like that. And if you think, it's really amazing. The last techniques that actually is the same techniques, that is the machine learning, but it is used in a different system. It is the improvement of cybersecurity by using, in this case, machine learning. Another panelist in this session already talked about it. Artificial intelligence and the specific machine learning algorithms are fundamental in order to detect and prevent some cybersecurity threats. In fact, with this system, banks are able to monitor their networks activity, identify some suspicious behavior, and in the case to reply, to respond to a potential security breach quickly in real time, avoiding that sensitive financial information go away. In conclusion, I could say that there are really a lot of artificial intelligence techniques that are revolutionizing the banking sector. For sure, as artificial intelligence technology continues to advance, their application in banking will continue to expand. And this will create more innovation and more efficiency in the industry, but also will raise several problems that we should face in the future.
Yes, thank you, Carlo. And really, I was thinking, Filippo, you've got a question to Carlo?
How many points in common with Carlo? The behavior, the user behavior, the analysis of data. Many.
Of course. In fact, I think that banks, the banking industry is one of the industry that pay more attention to everything that is related to artificial intelligence, with everything to it is related or linked to cybersecurity. As you probably know, banks are the main attacked institution in the world from
every minute.
Yeah. So they have a lot of information also that can share with professional in your field.
So I would like to raise another question that I suppose would be the last question in today's panel. Considering everything that we have heard, considering that we are talking about money, how do banks balance innovation with compliance and ethical considerations?
Yeah,
actually, it's a good question.
It's for sure is a good question. It's a very complex question. Is a question that also in some very big forum as G7, G20 countries are thinking, and each country, have a different opinion. There are some countries that press more on the innovation without thinking so much to the compliance of regulation, to ethical consideration, and others that instead, move in a more prudent way, and they say, wait a moment, we should understand what is going on. Actually, moving from the countries to the banking industry is not easy for banking to find an equilibrium, to balance among innovation, so pressing, in new technology, in the implementation of artificial intelligence techniques from one side, and from the other, to try to be in compliance, especially to take in consideration all the pitfalls that are related to artificial intelligence application. Is a very critical challenge for the bank. But because from one side, as I said, artificial intelligence is a leverage in order to stay competitive in a market with the introduction also of fintech, big tech, in a market more and more competitive. But at the same time, especially the traditional bank, they have to ensure that they are in comply with the rules, with regulation, and also taking in consideration their reputation, they should also maintain high ethical standards. I could say that there are different approaches, different strategies that the bank are implementing or could implement in order to try at least to find an equilibrium among these two aspects. And we can think to these different strategies, to different approach as a building block system. So there are some approaches that are more common and for sure adopted by the world financial system. Other one that instead are used only from the best player in the field. The first one, for sure, is the first way to find an equilibrium is to continue to work in the innovation, but at the same time to try to make to create a more robust regulatory compliance framework. And I'm talking about creating, for example, some dedicated compliance team that are able to ensure that all the new innovation that are introduced in the market, all the new technology are under respect or are in compliance with local, with national, and with international rules. And also they should work, the idea to have dedicated teams is related to the fact that in this case, because each bank institution has a function, a very important function, that is the compliance. But in this case, you should have a specific dedicated compliance team within the compliance function that works at strict contact with the business unit, the technology unit, in order to integrate in the process all the compliance checks throughout the development of the process. Then also within this framework, it's important to make the regular audit activity more strong. In this way, it's important to conducting regular internal audits in order to ensure that all the innovative projects, all the product or service that use artificial intelligence technologies are adherent to the regulatory requirement. Another different approach or strategy that can be used in order to find this equilibrium between innovation and ethical consideration is that is something that could be considered less binding, non-binding with respect to the first one, because it's something that is not connected with the regulation, but more with ethics. In this case, banks should, and some banks are doing that, should introduce, promote, develop, and adhering to some new ethical guidelines related to artificial intelligence use. The idea is that these guidelines should ensure that technologies are implemented in a way that respect customer privacy. That is the most important element. Avoid bias related to artificial intelligence, because the problem could be related to the fact that if we think to a process of lending, when we make we introduce a system, machine learning techniques that make the assessment of the creditworthiness of a client, maybe because of some bias, this artificial intelligence could not allow the client to get the loan, but not in a correct way, because as we know, there are some false positive or some false negative. And in this case, there is not one specific person that could be in charge of this one, but there is a system or a process. So, this is a very complex issue. So for that reason, it is necessary that there are some clear guidelines that, try to explain how the bank have to manage this kind of situation. And also, it's important that the bank will try to introduce some transparent data policies. This is very close to also what are the law requirements. So banks should communicate to customer or the way they use their data. To be sure about an informed consent and also to respect the GDPR for sure. Another final technique or approach, and this is, according to me, the fundamental strategies that a bank can adopt. And actually, I should say that a lot of banking are doing that, is to improve training, education of their employee in order to understand better artificial intelligence is, in which ways it can impact the bank activity, and also which are the risks related to the use of this kind of technology, and their implication for sure for ethics and compliance. I think that these could be, the main strategies, the main approach that bank could implement. Actually, there is not just one solution. I mean, it's a multifaceted approach that the bank have to adopt, because for sure the bank cannot renounce to innovate and to use artificial intelligence in their activity. It's impossible. But for sure, it's important that thanks to continued education, to ethical guidelines, to improve the risk management, and also to establish at governance level some committee in the board that are in charge to oversee the development of the artificial intelligence in the bank, the impact, the problems, could be a good solution to find a kind of equilibrium that at the end will lead to a sustainable growth, maintaining at the same time a positive reputation of the bank in the industry.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlo, for your insightful presentation. And dear colleagues, dear panelists, and dear attendees, we come to the end of our panel discussion on balancing innovation and risk management in the AI-powered digital world. I would like to remind you that 3 hours ago, we began with exploring how AI is transforming business technologies and educational practices. We delved into the AI usage in global virtual teams. We tackled securing web reputation through legal safeguards and examined the profound impact of digitalization and AI on business interactions and practices. Each session has provided us with a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities presented by AI in our rapidly evolving digital landscape. The diverse perspectives from our panelists have enriched our discussion, shedding light on both the innovative potential and the risks that AI brings to our professional environments. I would like to extend my greatest gratitude to our distinguished panelists for their time, expertise, and insightful contributions. I would like to share my thanks with Jennifer Lee, Michela Flores, Silvia Macchia, and Tomasz Kinkel for enlightening us on integrating AI in business and education. To Vastaras and Ernesto Tavoletti for their perspectives on cultural intelligence and AI usage in global virtual teams. For Pierina Di Stefano and Luigi Di Santo for addressing the legal aspects of web reputation. And for Filippo Rossi, Irina Andrushenko, and Carla Adami for their insights into the impact of AI on cybersecurity, consumer applications, and the financial sector. Thank you once again for joining us. I wish you all continued success and innovation in your respective fields. Have a wonderful day and see you on our future events. I hope to see you all again in our future meetings. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you and goodbye.